We turn our attention now to Pakistan, where the hijacking of the Jaffer Express has set in motion forces what the Pakistani establishment will possibly not be able to quell. The Baloch people have now rallied behind what looks like a movement which makes it now an unstoppable force. The latest attack on the bus indicates the issue is now set to possibly become much bigger going forward, with Pakistani security establishment unable to find any possible answers. Pakistan Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif's rare acknowledgement about the lack of development in Balochistan becoming a major obstacle in eliminating terrorism is indicative of the neglect of one of the richest regions in that area. Its arid and bone-dry terrain is ideal for guerrilla warfare. And it's not a small part of Pakistan, viewers. It's nearly 40%. So how serious is this security conundrum that Pakistan is facing is exactly now what I want to decode. How much of it is a result of the alienation of Balochis due to the Punjabicization of Pakistan that has taken place in the last 7 decades, another area that India Global is going to focus on. And what really is the role of Chinese investments in milking this region that's actually very rich in natural resources, valued at $1 trillion, is another area that I'm going to focus on. And in fact, those questions, viewers, you can see on your screens. Essentially, the point that we are discussing is the struggle in Balochistan as much about territorial integrity as it is about a contest for control over resources that could possibly reshape this entire geopolitical landscape. Let's get in Pramit Pal Chaudhuri joining me to talk more on this. Good to have you on the show, Pramit. Talk to us about the situation that is unfolding in Pakistan right now, the fact that there have been multiple attacks, the fact that Balochis have now formed a cohesive resistance. They in fact have a lot of veterans as well. There's military precision with which these attacks are coming in. How do you see this security conundrum for Pakistan going forward?
Thank you. My company, Eurasia Group, we've been looking at some of these developments in Pakistan. And I think what's crucial is that while the Baluchis, this is probably, I think, is normally termed the fourth Baloch rebellion against Pakistan. What makes this different from previous ones, I think, there are at least 4 key elements. In the previous ones, were often tribal, or if you wish, in nature. The Balochis were internally divided by various tribal groups, the Buktis, the Maris, and so on. And so a lot of the previous insurgencies, you saw a tribal element, but you did not see all the Balochis necessarily support, as a result, did not support the rebellion together. We are now seeing a sort of non- or detribalized Baloch population, urban in nature, who are ideologically committed to Baluchistan independence, or at least Baluchistan autonomy, and it's no longer necessarily confined to a tribe. Second, I would argue, and this is, I think, pretty important, is that Pakistan is now much weaker. The military and Pakistan's economy is now much weaker than it was before. Today, Pakistan's GDP is smaller than that of the city of Mumbai. It has struggles in many ways to pay even its basic bills, including some of its maintaining military requirements. In addition, it is geopolitically isolated. Other than China, it has no friends in the international system. But China, as you've already mentioned, is very angry about what is happening in Balochistan, but is not prepared to provide any military support or finances to Pakistan. Quite the opposite. They're withdrawing or reducing their investment profile.
How much?
Because the Balochis are targeting them.
How much of this has been exacerbated by growing Chinese presence? Because there's a lot of resentment amongst the local Balochis.
I think it's proved to be a lightning rod for bringing the Baloch together. The sense, as you mentioned, Baloch is a mineral resource-rich state. It is the primary source of natural gas for Pakistan. And the Balochis have always resented or believed that they have not been getting their fair share of the revenue from these resources. So when China, which, as you know, has been hunting for resources around the planet, comes in, it automatically provides a focus for the Balochis to attack. And as you've mentioned, they've attacked Chinese engineers, Chinese investors. We've seen the Chinese ambassador, unusually for the Chinese, publicly denounce Pakistan on media, saying you need to give us better protection. It's very difficult for us to work, and the investments are falling. If you look at natural gas production in Pakistan, it has been falling rapidly. Pakistan was self-sufficient in LNG and gas just a few decades ago. Today, it is a major importer of natural gas
Right.
because it cannot dig out any more out of Balochistan. But the final element, and I think this is particularly important and dangerous for Pakistan, is there is now very clear evidence that while Pakistan may claim India is responsible, internally Pakistanis are very clear. What is happening is the new Taliban regime, especially the Taliban Pakistan, the TTP, seems to have formed an alliance with the Baluch. The TTP has already
I was
killed
coming
over
to just
1,600
that, Pramit,
Pakistan.
that have they been able to now get allies, and which is why they are now such a cohesive fighting unit taking on the Pakistani army?
Yes, very much, because you now effectively Pakistan fighting on two fronts. It is fighting on both its Afghan border as well as internally in Baluchistan. And this is stretching the military. It does not have the capacity it used to have to handle this. 1,600 Pakistanis have been killed by the TTP since the Taliban came to power. About 500 to 600 of them are Pakistani security men. And you have the rebellion in Balochistan, and the Taliban have the additional capacity that they are a useful ally because they have mountains of armaments. The Americans, when they left Afghanistan in a hurry, they left behind some of the largest stocks of weapons, helicopters, those weapons,
Yes.
drones, guns, ammunition. The Taliban can support the Baluch forever. And this is going to be an enormous problem for Pakistan. And unfortunately, I don't get the sense the Pakistanis recognize that unlike the three previous Baloch rebellions, just simple repression of the Baloch is going to be
not going
enough
to work this time around, yes.
Correct.
All right, let's leave it there, Pramit. Thanks much for joining me to decode a very important story.